New England Patriots, day 6 of training camp, live updates, live recaps, and everything in between. As always, we are going to be reacting to any press conferences, any videos, any photos, and of course, all news that comes out here for day 6. Looks like they're in pads, but don't quote me on it. I think we're going to find out a little bit more as time goes on here. Everything that I'm learning right now, you guys are also learning too. Now, I already hear you guys in the chat. Colby, where the heck have you been? You were supposed to be here like 7 minutes ago. Look, all right? We set the alarm to get up, and there's 2 people to blame here, okay? None of which are myself, but there's 2 people to blame here, one of which is Apple, okay? One of which is Apple, because I set an alarm, and I wake up, and it's like 15 minutes past that alarm, and I go to look at my alarm, and it's still set. It's got the green little dash on it telling me that I know I said it. It just chose not to go off. So I don't know what that's about. And then Starbucks was just packed, man. And I need my morning coffee if we're going to push through these morning streams. But good news is I got some type of discount. But I don't think they realized they gave it to me. I zoomed away so quick out of that drive-thru. Let me tell you guys. I said, shoot, you might not know you're giving me a deal, but you're giving me a deal today. You're giving me a deal today. But, hey, man, look, day 6 recap. Let's just get right into it, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys for supporting. First time doing this yesterday, and it felt like a pretty big hit. It felt like you guys really liked this. So, as always, if you guys want to do more of these live training camp recaps, make sure you guys let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a big like on the video. Share it with some friends. The better the videos do, the more likes on the video tells me that you guys want me to continue to do these. Of course, once the preseason, the regular season starts, I'm not sure if we'll do it during the preseason, but I know during the regular season, we'll be back doing our live watch parties just like we did last year. So a lot of live reactions, a lot of live watch parties happening for the New England Patriots here on this channel. But real quick, want to give a big shout out to my boy, the Cape 88, who comes in here with a $5 donation. Came in yesterday with a big donation too. Today says, just wanted to say, I agree with you on your last stream. Just hoping Efton Chism isn't just a fan favorite. I completely agree with you, right? Because Efton Chism, he's still rolled with the first team offense at times, but he has certainly not picked up where he was in spring practices. And I preach this all the time to you guys, and I will continue to preach it to you guys, that football is what have you done for me lately. Football is not what have you done for me at one point. So for a guy like Efton Chism, who's in a crowded wide receiver room, which it was, I want to say Pop Douglas, who recently came out and said that this is also a crowded wide receiver room. So the players understand it too. It's not just the media. It's not just us fans. Efton Chism's already on the outside looking in, not to mention the fact that he's a UDFA. So he doesn't have anything that has helped making a push for him to make this roster. If Chism is going to make this roster, it is all going to come down to the fact that he's one of the 6 or 7 most talented wide receivers on this roster, and he earned it by coming up and producing and showcasing himself at work every single day. This team is going to have to make hard cuts, and there's going to be players that they want to feature on the 53-man roster, whether that's offensively, defensively, or special teams. But some guys are going to have to get cut. And some guys are going to have to be stacked on the practice squad, and they're going to have to be used as elevations and maybe put on the 53-man roster later down the road during the season. And if they feel that Efton Chism is a guy that didn't produce enough that they could cut and get back on the practice squad, then that very well could be the case. And right now, based off of what Chism has done in training camp, I feel confident that if the Patriots release him, he is going to get back onto the practice squad. So, again, still rooting for Efton Chism. There's a lot of football to still be played, okay? We still got joint practice with the Commanders next week, which I'll be at. We got a joint practice with the Vikings in Minnesota the following week. We got 3 preseason games. There's a lot of football to still be played, so don't freak out just yet. But Chism has definitely calmed down. Again, work with the first-team offense throughout training camp at times, but we also saw Javon Baker working with the first-team offense at times. You got Jalen Polk now back into the mix. So, again, if Chism's going to make this final roster, which I know a lot of fans want him to, he's going to have to put his foot on the gas a little bit more. My boy Trey comes in here with a $5 donation. Says the Colts just extended a tackle with sub 33-inch arms for anyone who's been crying about Will Campbell's arms still. I'm sure he's going to be fine. Yes, I mean, you have a lot of tackles here with 33-inch arms. You have The Colts tackle, like you mentioned, who just got extended. You have Penei Sewell, and then you have Rashawn Slater. So there's a lot of tackles in the league that have those 33-inch arms but make it work. The biggest question for Will Campbell is more so going to be about that, what is it? Like the width of his arm or something. It's not the arm length, but it's the wingspan. Excuse me. The wingspan is also short. And so when you combine those two things, people are trying to say that there is a level of concern. But for me, when it comes down to Will Campbell, and I've said this for a long time, is that tackle is more about the mechanics. It's being mechanically sound. And Will Campbell has always been so damn mechanically sound. He's been one of the most mechanically sound tackles that I've ever seen coming out of the draft. And it's why he was so highly sought upon. It's why he was tackle one in this class, undisputed. And so as long as he can remain technically sound and he is working with a vet like Morgan Moses, I believe that he can combat some of the length issues that he is going to have. But I agree with you. I think the 33-inch arms is a little overblown. It's a little overblown, Trey. I agree with you. But let's go ahead and let's get into some of the notes involving training camp here. Some of the key notes to start with, according here to Mark Daniels, Patriots day 6 of camp. Guys who are absent, starting off here with the big one that everybody's going to be wondering about, okay? This got a little bit controversial. I don't really know why, but it did. All right, Christian Gonzalez goes down with a left leg injury yesterday. We talked about it live. We posted the video here on the channel, breaking down my thoughts and opinions. We shared the video of him walking off with trainers. Good news about Gonzo was that, like I just said, he did walk off with the trainers. So, okay, hold up. Wow, that's crazy timing. We just got an update about Christian Gonzalez as I am talking about it. So according to Jordan Schultz himself, Patriots All-Pro cornerback, Christian Gonzalez is dealing with a hamstring. So I called this yesterday, guys. I said, I believe it is a hamstring based off of what we heard, a lower left leg injury. Based off the video that we got, Gonzo gets up. He's talking to the trainers. He's walking off with them. He's like pointing to the back of his leg. And I said, we'll have to see where exactly it is because lower left leg could be hamstring or it could be calf. He points to his hamstring. And right then and there, I said, yeah, this is a hamstring injury. Now it is confirmed. But good news, he is expected to be ready for week 1. So while Gonzo is not there today, he is expected to be there for week 1. And that's all we needed to hear, right? Like, we don't need to see Gonzo at practice. We don't need to see Gonzo in the preseason. And that's not to say that we won't see Gonzo in practice in some type of capacity still. We don't know how severe it is, but we do know that he should be good to go week 1, and that is the expectation. And as long as that's what happens, I'm perfectly fine if he doesn't play a single snap in practice or the preseason games leading up to week 1. So Christian Gonzalez absent today. Carlton Davis still absent, okay? And like I said yesterday, we heard from Mike Vrabel a few days ago that the reason that Davis wasn't at practice was to give him veteran rest. He then returns the following day, and then after that, he's been absent the last few days. Based off reports, he was seen on the lower field on a stationary bike. Therefore, Carlton Davis is coming back with some type of injury. And this has nothing to do with the injury he got last year with the Detroit Lions that put him on IR, because that's when he broke his jaw. Not going to be on a stationary bike for breaking your jaw. So it sounds like Carlton Davis tweaked a little bit of something. Again, he is a veteran who has dealt with several injury problems. So maybe them taking a little bit more cautious with him, just like they're going to take it cautious with Gonzo, makes a lot of sense. But this just proves exactly why this team needs to have a key backup plan for outside cornerback in case Gonzo or Carlton Davis does go down. And I hope that is a player that they add before the start of the regular season. But Jelani Tavai still absent. And then Joshua Farmer today also absent, a guy that we have seen absent in the past. So curious if Joshua Farmer is maybe a guy that we start to say, is he dealing with some type of injury? Is this someone to be worried about at some point? But on the PUP list, you still got Matt Collins and Vidarian Lowe. And like I said, as for somebody who returned today, Austin Hooper, you see it right here. You see it by Mark Daniels there at the top, back at practice, started camp on the PUP list. Now, this is a guy that yesterday I said, look, out of all guys, I think that are absent and have been absent, he's probably the one that I don't necessarily need to have back right now. I think Matt Collins, you want back at some point. Vidarian Lowe, you definitely want back at some point sooner rather than later. And it's definitely a benefit that Austin Hooper did return, building chemistry with this offense. I do believe he worked in that Josh McDaniels offense back when he was with the Raiders in 2023 for that brief stint. But getting him reacclimated to this offensive scheme, again, trying to pick up where him and Drake Maye had that chemistry from 2024. But again, Austin Hooper, he's a veteran. He's dealt with injury problems in the past. I believe that whether he practiced in a full capacity this offseason, whether he practiced here and there, as long as he's ready for week one, I feel confident there about Austin Hooper. But nonetheless, good news that he is back into the mix. Now, by Mark Daniels, we also got a little look here. At Stefon Diggs. Looks like you got Hunter Henry here to the left, Stefon Diggs in the middle with the visor, and then Kayshon Boutte right next to him. A little 8 and 9 right there for you. But want to get some other updates here for you guys, too. That was just some of the more general notes. Oh, shoot. All right, so look, let's not overreact just yet. I'm going to see if we can get some type of other report. Is this good? Is this bad? Because the other day we saw Morgan Moses come to practice pretty late, like a quarter way to halfway through with Ramondre Stevenson. But Mark Daniels reports here 7 minutes ago, and I quote, looks like Morgan Moses is leaving practice. Patriots starting right tackle. That is a guy that they literally cannot afford to lose. Really, they can't afford to lose anybody on that offensive line, but especially Morgan Moses, because the guy repping behind Morgan Moses is DeMontre Jacobs. And look, I've shared the stats with you guys about DeMontre Jacobs several times in the past, right? DeMontre Jacobs is not a guy you want starting for you really in any capacity, whether it's at right tackle or left tackle. And with Vidarian Lowe out of the mix, DeMontre Jacobs has been the guy. He has been the swing tackle, taking reps at right tackle and left tackle. So I'm assuming that that's the guy that's going to sub in for him. Hopefully Morgan Moses is okay, but that's another guy, 34 years old, who's dealt with a lot of injury histories in the past, right? Like Morgan Moses, he's not going to play an entire season for you. But they've been really, really cautious with Morgan Moses this offseason, understanding his age, understanding he's a veteran, and understanding that injury history also. So really, really hoping that this isn't anything serious with Morgan Moses, because he is absolutely pivotal to what the Patriots are going to do offensively. He is easily one of the top most important players to that offensive line. He is a massive, massive upgrade over what the Patriots had last year with DeMontre Jacobs, which, isn't saying too much, but my boy Felipe just came in here with a $5 donation. Shout out my boy Felipe. He says, what do you think about Asante Samuel Jr.? Wonder if his injury is worse than expected. He's a good slot cornerback, in my opinion. By the way, told you Polk wasn't good. Felipe, you did tell me Jalen Polk wasn't good, right? I feel like a lot of people told me Jalen Polk wasn't good. I will never forget the crazy controversy, which I don't really know why it was a controversy, but I remember the crazy controversy with Patriots fans. Jalen Polk or Javon Baker, both were drafted in the same year. Which one's going to be better and which one's going to suck? Well, guess what, guys? They both suck so far. So far, they're both buzz. So we were all right and we were all wrong at the same time. But as for Asante Samuel Jr., like, that is a good cornerback. That is a good cornerback that damn well deserves a home in the NFL. So the fact that he has not been signed, to me, what that says is, Felipe, you hit the nail on the damn head right there. That injury is worse than expected because a lot of teams need help at cornerback. You're telling me that if Asante Samuel Jr. was healthy, he would not be on the Miami Dolphins right now? He wouldn't be on the Raiders right now? I think it has to do with that injury, but I also wonder, and this isn't a report, but I do wonder if there might be some teams out there that are a little hesitant to sign Asante Samuel Jr. just because of his dad, right? Asante Samuel, former New England Patriots cornerback, was absolutely iconic, but also feels like Bill Belichick did him wrong. Why? Because Asante Samuel, not Asante Samuel Jr., but his dad, Asante Samuel, he talks a lot, especially on social media, and he comes at the neck of reporters. He comes at the neck of analysts and players and coaching staffs. I mean, that guy always had Bill Belichick in his damn mouth. And I wonder if they see that as a potential distraction, especially the New England Patriots. Right now, it was never more of a Robert Kraft thing. It was always more of like a Bill Belichick thing. So it doesn't exactly exclude them from signing him. right? At the end of the day, they're going to prioritize wins over a toxic father. But I do wonder if that does play a potential role, right? But the thing, too, about Asante Samuel Jr. is that he is going to be more of that slot receiver. I wouldn't mind having depth at slot, but the Patriots might look at this and say, well, we have Marcus Jones, who, as long as he's healthy, is going to be our starting slot cornerback. Asante Samuel might want more of a starting role. But look, if they offer him a contract and he comes here, I'd absolutely love it, because I do think that would be good depth, right? There's definitely some corners out there that the Patriots could add to add some depth there. You still have Rasul Douglas. I mean, Rasul Douglas at this point might want to be more of a starting cornerback and not more of like a number 3, but that's always an option for the Patriots. My boy MJ Woozy comes in with a $2 donation and says, how do you feel if we signed Gilmore back? So touched upon this a little bit yesterday, but for me, I don't think that Gilmore does come back unless there is a serious injury to Carlton Davis or Christian Gonzalez, which, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, right? Gonzo is one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. Carlton Davis is still a very good cornerback who you're paying good amount of money to. Again, as long as both of those guys are healthy, or at least fairly healthy, I just don't see Stephon Gilmore coming back here to be at best a cornerback 3 who is going to ride the bench. Like, I still think Stephon Gilmore can play 80, 90% of defensive snaps. He comes here and he's probably going to play more like 70% of defensive snaps, maybe. And I think he understands that if he waits out a little bit, that there's going to be injuries that happen to teams in training camp, and then he can kind of up his value and select where he wants to go a little bit more and still be a starting cornerback. I don't think that Gilmore is necessarily what he once was. Obviously, he's getting up there in age, but he's still playing at a high enough level where he can be a low-end cornerback 1 to still a pretty damn good cornerback 2. So I'd be all for it for depth. That would be a crazy room. But I just don't think that Gilmore's going to want to come here, especially for the money you're going to have to give him. It probably just doesn't make sense for the Patriots to give a cornerback 3 that kind of money. But hey, if he wants to take a pay cut and come here, shoot, I am down for it all day, every day. But let's see what else we can cook up here and find out through the media on what's happening. All right, good thing we got that update on Gonzo. So, little update here on Morgan Moses, because that's what I'm trying to find here the most. Let me go back here. Where you at, Doug? All right, so all right, here we go. This is what I was looking for. So, according to Doug Ty, a little bit of an update here on the Morgan Moses situation. So, he's saying that Patriots right tackle Morgan Moses is jogging off the field on his own, no trainers present, and not limping. So, good news there, right? Good news there. Maybe it wasn't an injury. I'm not there, so I'm not 100% sure. From what some of the media made it sound like, it sounded like this was pretty serious for a second, but he's not with trainers. He's not limping, so maybe not injured. So we might be fine. We might be fine there with Morgan Moses. So nobody freak out. Nobody freak out just yet. But let's look at what Doug Kyed is saying on top of this. So he says, daily tweet that Patriots cornerback DJ James broke up a pass at training camp covering wide receiver Kendrick Bourne in 2-on-2 drills. So DJ James, UDFA, is a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, but they should be, because this guy is making headlines over the last few weeks. He had some moments in spring practices, but more specifically here in training camp, he's been absolutely balling out. He had an interception on Joshua Dobbs. I believe it was the first or second day of training camp. He's had a few pass breakups. He did have a couple of snaps with the first team defense when Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis were both out yesterday. So this is a guy to watch at cornerback. I want to make sure I get this right. DJ James. So he's only 24 years old. He's number 30 for the Patriots. And he sits at about 6 foot, 183 pounds. So a guy that could give them a little bit of that versatility there on the outside also, which we know that they're looking for. And that's a real competition. The Patriots have this competition on who's going to be cornerback 3, who is the starting backup cornerback in the slot behind Marcus Jones when he ultimately, misses a few games or misses a few snaps because of his injury problems. DJ James is certainly a guy that is on everybody's radar. And there's always that one guy, at least one guy every single year in training camp that nobody knows about that comes out of the woodworks. And the Patriots are iconic for that guy to always be a cornerback. I mean, you look at some of the top UDFAs that have made the roster and have been key contributors that nobody saw coming. I mean, you have David Andrews, you have Malcolm Butler, you got J.C. Jackson, you got Jacoby Myers. I mean, this is just to name a few. You got Del Pettis from last year. So definitely start looking at cornerback DJ James because he has been making plays in the secondary. And with the Patriots needing depth there, they might have a guy in building that they'll look to rather than having to sign an external free agent addition. So been hearing his name a lot in the media over the last few days. Now, according to Doug Kyed 11 minutes ago, Drake Maye followed up with another strike to Stefon Diggs for a touchdown. So looks like we got Stefon Diggs, Drake Maye connecting in the end zone. And I believe that is the first time that we've seen Stefon Diggs and Drake Maye hit the end zone in training camp. Now, Patriots cornerback Drake Maye also delivered a perfect over-the-shoulder pass to Kyle Williams in the red zone for a touchdown. This is now the second day in a row that Drake Maye has found the rookie third-round pick, Kyle Williams, in the red zone for a touchdown. Let's not forget yesterday. Yesterday, we saw this clip. Let me zoom in. Let me share it for you guys. Yesterday, this is not the clip that happened just now, but we saw this clip yesterday. We broke it down of Drake Maye throwing to Kyle Williams, the rookie wide receiver, back of the end zone, going up against Marcellus Dial in one-on-one. So Drake Maye and that rookie Kyle Williams, they're definitely building that chemistry. And I really do think a big part of that comes with the throwing session in North Carolina a few weeks ago, where Drake Maye really got the opportunity to just connect with him, build that chemistry off the field, and also get on the same page on the field. Kyle Williams is definitely going to have a big role in this offense. And again, 2 back-to-back touchdowns here for the Patriots, day 5 and day 6. That is absolutely huge for him. Again, this is not the clip from today. This is the clip from yesterday. But it sounds like they're doing a little bit more red zone work, and Drake Maye is connecting with the rookie receiver. But all right, let's see. What else? What else do we got? I do. Do we have any updates here from Mark Daniels? Mark Daniels is always on it. All right, so we got a little bit of an update on the kicker battle. I guess we could break that down real quick. We didn't really have that yesterday. So, according to Mark Daniels, rookie kicker Andy Gonzalez went 6 for 6 in field goal attempts today. I believe it was yesterday that we didn't see Andy Gonzalez kicking at all. For whatever reason that was, I don't know. Some speculated it would be one day for Parker Romo, one day for Andy Gonzalez. Maybe Gonzalez was dealing with some type of injury. Maybe they just told him, sit down. We want to see what the veteran kickers got. Not exactly sure. But the rookie kicker, Andy Gonzalez, goes 6 for 6. But John Parker Romo also goes 6 for 6, right? I've been saying I don't think that this is much of a kicker battle, and that was really based off of what happened in spring practices. But like I said, guys, I really harp on football's what have you done for me lately. So just because Andy Gonzalez balled out and was winning the kicker battle, in spring practices doesn't mean that he's now going to be your starting kicker. Now, because they used a draft pick on him, he does have that going for him. But John Parker Romo is really creaking up now all of a sudden on Andy Gonzalez, because so far in training camp, John Parker Romo is beating out Andy Gonzalez. So could actually be interesting. This could come down to the wire, and then this really might start developing into a kicker battle. Right now, it's getting interesting. I still got Andy Gonzalez as the winner right now. I still have him in the lead, but John Parker Romo is starting to make this very, very interesting. So definitely something to keep an eye on, because it sounds like Andy Gonzalez's kicks here in training camp thus far, he's had a couple of misses, but not just that. Some of the field goals he made were a little bit questionable. So something to keep an eye on. But a bit of a kicker update there for anybody who's interested there about special teams. I think they're probably just alternating days, especially if there are no stats for John Parker Romo today. Well, we did get stats for John Parker Romo. We did. That's originally what my thought process was too, was all right, well, if Andy, I mean, you used a 6th-round pick on him, right? And that was a selection that the Mike Vrabel system used. So I was like, all right, well, if you don't have him kicking today, maybe it's like, hey, take a little bit of a break. We'll have John Parker Romo kick today. You'll have all the kicking duties tomorrow, but they didn't give him the opportunity. They didn't give the rookie Andy Gonzalez the opportunity to come and have all the kicks today. So there goes that theory. The Cape 88, my boy, comes back in here with another $5 donation. Everybody give it up for my boy, the Cape 88 in the chat. He says, how many wide receivers do you think they'll keep on the roster? I am hoping 7, but I can see them going 5. Oh, okay. So there has been times they've kept 5 wide receivers under Josh McDaniels, but that was like more so in the days where, you know, you had Gronk, you had Julian Edelman, you had guys where it's like, okay, we only need to keep 5 receivers because we have a couple of guys that we know no matter what we can rely on. Given the fact that there's a lot of question marks about this receiving core, it's young. You really don't know who you can. I mean, I don't think there's one guy. I don't think there's one guy amongst the receiver group that you can really rely on. And so I think they're definitely going to keep more than 5. You had Mike Reese in his recent 53-man roster prediction have them keeping 7. So there is a world in which they do. I think they keep 6. Okay? I will stand by the fact that I think they ultimately do keep 6. They kept 7 last year, and we saw the implications that had. When you have 7 wide receivers, you can't get everybody on the field. And then you have wide receivers who are getting upset that they are not given the opportunity to develop. You're getting guys upset that they're not getting the opportunity to get on the field. Now, they don't have as many veterans per se as last year, and I think the veterans they do have are more mature. But I mean, you had Tyquan Thornton upset he wasn't getting opportunities last year. You had the offseason addition they made at wide receiver, whose name's escaping me right now, Osborne. You had Kendrick Osborne? No, that's not it. Something Osborne, man. You had it was another KB. I remember that. But you had Osborne upset that he wasn't getting opportunities. He ultimately ends up getting released, right? There were so many guys that weren't getting the opportunity because the room was so crowded, and the team itself couldn't adequately develop their wide receivers, but they also couldn't get a look at who was their best receivers. They didn't give them enough time to actually develop. So I think they ultimately end up keeping 6, give those guys the opportunity to develop, stash a few guys on the practice squad, and if they're looking good in practice, you can always elevate them and act accordingly. So for me personally, I think that they should only go with 6. I just think that 7 is a bit too much. KJ Osborne, man, I said Kendrick Osborne. That's crazy. But I know I knew you guys know who I meant. I knew you guys know who I meant. There will be a surprise trade or cut. I stand by this because this is a guy that we really haven't heard all that much But maybe he does still make the roster because he's one of the best run defending edges, maybe the best in all of football. And that's Anthony Jennings, because we heard in spring practices that Anthony Jennings was rolling with the third team defense. He doesn't really fit the Mike Vrabel, Terrell Williams defense either. They want a defensive lineman. They want edge rushers that can get to the quarterback, can apply the pressure. And Anthony Jennings is very, very average at doing that. His bread and butter is setting the edge to stop the run. They don't really care for those specific types of edge rushers. They want their cornerbacks, their safeties, their linebackers to come up and make plays to stop the run. They more so want that defensive line to be pass rush first specialists. So I think Anthony Jennings could be that guy. PG, do you remember that Jalen Reagor post from last year that had me cracking up for days? Dude, I remember when Jalen Reagor came out and Drake Maye had his bomb deep down the field to Jalen Reagor early on in training camp, and Reagor comes in with a one-handed catch, and I was like, yeah, he's making the roster, baby. And then he didn't. But I remember that Jalen Reagor, he had that post where it was like a Ferrari in a beat-up garage. And he posted that, referring that like he was the Ferrari in a terrible offense with a terrible team. And then he went to the Chargers and dropped a deep pass down the field in a game from Justin Herbert. So that was awkward. That was awkward for him. But let's see what other updates we can get here. Taylor Kyles is usually pretty good with good updates here. So let's see what he has to say. Taylor Kyles is usually posting like every 60 seconds. So shout out to my boy Taylor, man. All right. Let's scroll down a little bit here. Oh, dear God, Taylor. We're going to be here for days. All right, so this is just absence at this point. So no Brock Lampy either, but there was a new defensive player at 46. So the Patriots did add a linebacker. I do want to make a video on this because the linebacker that the Patriots signed yesterday is really interesting because I think there's upside with him. Now, he's coming late into the process. He's coming into a loaded linebacker core, but Patriots signed a linebacker with some real upside. It wasn't, a guy who's played in the NFL prior. It was more so like a UDFA edition, essentially. But I do want to make a video on him. So that's probably the defensive player wearing 46 that Taylor Kyles is referencing here. But he says no Brock Lampy at practice either. Now, he's the only one that I've heard say no Brock Lampy, but I do trust Taylor Kyles. And the fact that Jack Westover, the tight end, is in at fullback for the Patriots signifies that, yeah, Brock Lampy probably is not there today. Something to watch, right? Maybe he's just dealing with an injury. Maybe it's an excused absence. Maybe they ultimately end up cut him. But I don't think they did that. I think that Brock Lampy does make this roster also. A little sneak peek into my early 53-man roster prediction. Brock Lampy's also been rolling with the first-team offense at times. But this right here signifies to me, I feel more confident than ever they are going to keep a fullback under Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels with the Patriots, with the Broncos, with the Raiders, always featured a fullback in his offense. There was never a time in which he didn't. The fact that Brock Lampy wasn't there and they still used a fullback, they just used a hybrid tight end at fullback. That makes me think that, yeah, a fullback is going to be a main feature in this offense again. And whether they have Brock Lampy, a fullback specific player in this scheme, or if they just keep a third tight end and have him be the starting fullback, that's always another option. Either way, this team's definitely bringing back a fullback. Now, Taylor Kyles also reports that Drake Maye and Josh Dobbs both had overthrows on deep passes. Not too worried about this just yet. Obviously, deep passes are the most difficult, right? But Drake Maye, that's usually his bread and butter. This team mainly has been working short to intermediate, working on the red zone. Yesterday was a lot of running. So I think they're a little bit raw when it comes to throwing deep down the field because they just haven't done that too much here so far this offseason. But they say Maye missed Kyle Williams while Dobbs missed Javon Baker in the next period. Drake Maye also had a short sidearm connection to Stefon Diggs on a bootleg. Maye targeted Kyle Williams on a back shoulder fade, but the rookie couldn't haul it in. So the thing that I'm hearing about Kyle Williams is just inconsistencies, because you had the touchdown from him yesterday with Drake. You have the touchdown with him today from Drake. But then you also have moments where Kyle Williams can't bring in the pass. He's having concentration drops. And this is something that Patriots fans, they're going to have to be okay with. They're going to have to be okay that Kyle Williams is going to have frustrating drops at times, but then he's going to come back and he's going to have a touchdown. He's going to come back and he's going to make a play. As long as Kyle Williams doesn't allow those drops to get in his head and he can have short memory, then the Patriots are going to be fine. Kyle Williams has short hands, right? That was part of his draft profile, even before the Patriots drafted him, is that he has issues with drops. Some concentration drops, but more specifically, because his hands are so small, sometimes he has issues bringing those passes in. Taylor Kyle is also reporting that after a pair of failed targets earlier, Drake Maye and Kyle Williams connect on a go route in the red zone for a touchdown. So essentially, Kyle Williams just running straight, using that speed. Drake Maye lost the ball up to him. Touchdown. Looks like we have a fumbled snap from Garrett Bradbury on the last play of a red zone period for the top offense. Drake Maye threw a touchdown to Kyle Williams on a go route and Stefon Diggs on the crosser, both of which we've already covered. So sounds like with this first team offense, there's been some botched snaps. Garrett Bradbury there with one today. We've had Jared Wilson with a couple here in training camp with Drake Maye also. You know what? I find it interesting. That I'm not hearing about this with the second team offense or the third team offense. Every time I'm hearing about a botched snap, it's always with Drake Maye. And now we're seeing multiple centers having that problem. We saw that same problem at times with Drake Maye last year. I'm starting to wonder if some of these botched snaps here between Drake Maye and the center, I'm starting to wonder if Drake Maye has any play in that. And if so, he needs to be proactive about that, because it's not just the interceptions Drake Maye struggled with last year, but it was just putting the ball on the ground constantly. Whether he was fumbling, whether he was getting sacked off his blind side and fumbling, which I mean, I guess is only so much his fault, whether it was botched snaps with the center, something Drake needs to get, under wraps. And I'm not putting this on him, right? Like I wasn't there to see who exactly was on. But a little bit of a coincidence that I'm starting to notice. Now, the rookie running back, Travion Henderson, just showed off his speed getting to the perimeter on a run. So it sounds like the Patriots working in the red zone a little bit, throwing the ball deep down the field a little bit, but also working on the run game. So it sounds like they're doing a little bit of everything here today, but it does sound like they're having more passing than they did yesterday. Yesterday, Drake Maye threw like 6 passes in 11s. Drake Maye had a few wild throws today, even without pressure, just sailed one outside to Hunter Henry. So feels like Drake Maye maybe getting a little bit sporadic deep downfield yet again. But hey, these are the times in which Drake Maye is supposed to do this, right? Like these are the practices where if you're going to try something, you want to see what you can get away with. You want to start unlocking that arm a little bit, getting it loose for the season. These are the times to do so. And I think sometimes fans freak out about practices just a little bit, when in reality, these are the times where you're going to test things that you might not test in a game. So today was Andy Gonzalez's turn to kick field goals. The rookie matched John Parker-Romo's performance yesterday, making all 6 of his attempts. So it sounds like from Taylor Kyle's, Andy Gonzalez was the one kicking field goals today, but based off of what we heard from Mark Daniels, John Parker-Romo got opportunities also. Oh, wait, hold up. Okay, all right, well, quick update here, because I'm rereading this, and I'm not sure if Mark Daniels adjusted this or if my dyslexia kicked in there for a minute, but Mark Daniels was saying that today, the rookie kicker and Andy Gonzalez went 6 for 6. Yesterday, John Parker Romo went 6 for 6. So scratch what I said like 10 minutes ago. It does look like yesterday they went all John Parker Romo. Today they went all Andy Gonzalez. So what we originally thought they were going to do is exactly what they did. So I'll be curious to see what they do tomorrow. But yesterday they gave all the opportunities to the veteran. Today was all opportunities for the rookie. And both went a perfect 6 for 6. So little updating and clarification on that one. Oh, Roundtable Sports is going crazy in the chat right now. Something in my eye, damn. Looks like we got a little update here from Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs to Jalen Polk and the wide receivers. Stack the days now. Let's get another one today. So Stefon Diggs just being the leader right now in the pack for the Patriots. I think we can hear it. Oh, I can't hear anything. I guess there's no audio, but CLNS, I will trust you. I will trust you guys. But wow, Stefon Diggs leading the wide receiver for a guy that everybody said when the Patriots signed him was going to be this like cancer. I mean, that's what everybody was telling me. Stefon Diggs has been one heck of a leader. Oh, a little bit of a Christian Gonzalez update. Taylor Kyle's reporting that Christian Gonzalez is currently on the sideline. So Gonzo is there, not practicing, but he is there. He's on the sideline with the black sleeve on his left leg. So probably more of a compression for that hamstring. Jabril Peppers just knocked the ball loose on a short pop Douglas target to prevent a touchdown. We've been hearing a lot about that physicality from Jabril Peppers over the last 2 days since pads have gone on. Kyles is also reporting that Keon White would have gotten a sack on the right side. So it sounds like he switched from going one-on-one with Will Campbell to now going one-on-one with, I'm assuming DeMontre Jacobs, because it sounds like Morgan Moses isn't in there. So I'm assuming DeMontre Jacobs. But Drake Maye hit Stefon Diggs in the back right corner of the end zone, while DJ James, who we've been talking about here, was trailing him. So, hey, man, I love that DJ James is getting the opportunity to go with the best wide receiver on this roster and in the veteran in Stefon Diggs, right? That just shows us that they want to see what DJ James got. They want to test this guy. They really want to develop DJ James. So stock up here significantly on DJ James, but also really good job by Drake Maye to understand that the pocket was collapsing. Keon White was about to get a sack. What does he do? He extends the play, gets the ball out quick, hits Stefon Diggs, and touchdown. Now, Taylor Kyles did also update this and say Keon White also put Will Campbell on skates on the next play. So it sounds like Keon White right now is playing all over the defensive formation. And it also sounds like maybe they're going to use Keon White in a type of role that suits him best to get him his best opportunity. So it sounds like they're not going to line up Keon White just over the left tackle or just over the right tackle, but they're going to line Keon White all over the D-line. Let's keep in mind that last season, Keon White was one of the best interior defensive linemen in pass rush. So I think that this is going to be someone that we see getting favorable matchups every single week to rush the passer. I think Keon White is going to have a high pressure season and a high sack season, all of which are going to be career highs for him. Let's also remember that through like 5 weeks of the NFL season, he was top 5 in sacks, and then he kind of just fell off. But I think he's going to be a souped up version of Dietrich Wise, a guy who plays over the right tackle, a guy who plays over the left tackle, a guy who plays a little bit on the interior. So for all my Javon Baker fans out there, Javon Baker is stringing days together a little bit. Now, it feels like the majority of the plays that Baker is making, they're not with the first team offense, but Baker is still rolling with the first team offense at times. So it sounds like the Baker experiment isn't exactly over. I still have him off my 53, but He's making a little bit of a push here, but Javon Baker just snatched a jump ball out of the air for a touchdown on an end zone fade. Marcellus Dial was defending well. I mean, that is the type of guy that Javon Baker should be mossing and should be making plays over. Can he do the same thing over Gonzo? Can he do the same thing over name's escaping me right now. Oh my gosh. Can he do the same thing over Carlton Davis? That's my question for Javon Baker. Javon Baker, we know he can ball out in practices. But it's like once a game comes on and he's not playing against his defense that he practices against every day, he just doesn't show up. He just doesn't show up. But Kendrick Bourne shook Marcus Jones for a touchdown. Hey, look, say what you want about Marcus Jones. Guy is small, but he's one damn of a cornerback. But Kendrick Bourne shook Marcus Jones for a touchdown in the back right of the corner. Excuse me, in the back right corner of the end zone. I don't know why I thought that said easy. But in the back right corner of the end zone, Joshua Dobbs with his second touchdown throw of the red zone period. And then Garrett Bradbury walking gingerly after getting caught at the bottom of the pile. So the Patriots dealing with a little bit more injuries here. So the current starting center for New England gets banged up. But hey, he walked to the sideline, so I think he'll be fine. But nonetheless, 2 days of pads and injuries piling up here already for the New England Patriots. Nothing serious, knock on wood. But nonetheless, some injuries happening here for New England. But hey, if Garrett Bradbury's out for a little bit and we get an extended look at Jared Wilson, I'm not necessarily against it. I don't think the Patriots would be either. Finally, some news here about safety Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps sniffed out and shut down a screen pass to Pop Douglas. That's the first time we've heard Marcus Epps' name literally since he was signed. Drake Maye found Keyshawn Boutte for a touchdown against Alex Austin. O-line did a nice job picking up a stunt. So Drake Maye finding quite a few touchdowns today. Finding touchdowns to Stefon Diggs, Kyle Williams, Keyshawn Boutte. Sounds like they're really capitalizing in the red zone. Strong finish on the Patriots' red zone pass game after a rough start to practice. A lot of misses early, a lot of touchdowns late. That's exactly what we want to hear, man. I mean, that's what Josh McDaniels is so good at, right? Once he can drive his offense down the field and they get in the red zone, Josh McDaniels is so damn good at having that offense capitalize and putting up 7. That's one low-key thing that I'm excited to have back. Because ever since McDaniels left, this team, like, they drive down the field, they get into the red zone, and then it's 3 points. I feel like with a dynamic quarterback in Drake Maye, an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing, we are going to see the Patriots finish with a lot more drives of 7 points rather than 3. And that's what we want, man. That is what we want. Josh is a GOAT, man. Dude, I don't understand the people. Like, I'll be on the AFC East roundtable talking about the Pats. And there'll be like Bills fans and Jets fans and Dolphins fans being like, yo, your offensive coordinator is literally Josh McDaniels. He literally just failed with the Raiders as a head coach. Like, he's such a bad offensive coordinator. I'm like, what are you talking about? So because he failed as a head coach, now he sucks as an OC? That doesn't make sense. The Raiders had a good offense when Josh McDaniels was there. The team just sucked. They couldn't win games because he's not a good head coach. Being a good coordinator or positional coach and being a bad head coach are two very different things. Josh McDaniels has always been one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, whether it was with Brady, whether it was with Newton, whether it was with Mac Jones. He just couldn't be a head coach. They're two very different things. Pats Global, will you be streaming the first preseason game? So the first preseason game is what, next Friday, next Saturday? Because they're unveiling the Brady statue Thursday or Friday. I think they're unveiling the Brady statue the day before the preseason game. So I'm still debating. I'm going back and forth with if I do want to stream the preseason and do watch parties for the preseason games. You guys let me know. You guys let me know in the comments. And if we have enough people interested, then we'll do live watch parties for the preseason games. But if not, then we'll just pick it up week 1. You guys let me know. Because obviously I don't want to go live doing live watch parties if people are like, hey, good for you, Pat Slow, but I'm gonna watch the game instead. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, now would it? Let's see if we got any more updates. I mean, practice should be coming to a close here. Yeah, where they're doing press conferences at this point. So seems like Jared Wilson is gaining ground in the left guard competition. Well, if Garrett Bradbury's out, then he better start gaining ground at center. I mean, this Jared Wilson experience, or experiment, I should say, it has me feeling a few different things. Because Elliot Wolf said when they drafted Jared Wilson, they're drafting him to be a center. And I do believe that they do have to get their best 5 guys on that O-line out there in some type of capacity, whether that's with Jared Wilson at guard or at center, right? The biggest investment is Drake Maye. You got to make sure he's protected. You got to make sure that O-line is good enough for the wide receivers to get in and out of their routes, right? Because you put a lot of stock, you put a lot of assets into wide receiver too. But you also need the O-line that is going to be the best for your running game too, because you put a lot of assets into running back over the last 2 seasons. But I also want Jared Wilson to make sure he's being developed at center also, because playing guard and playing center, while they have a lot of similarities, they also have a lot of key differences. And Jared Wilson only had 1 year of true starting, one true starting year and 1 year of true development at center at the collegiate level with Georgia this past season. So even if he is starting at left guard for the Patriots, I hope they continue to allow him to develop at center if he really is going to be their future at center, which the Patriots do need a future at left guard, but they also need a future at center. And I don't think Garrett Bradbury is the future. I think Garrett Bradbury is the insurance policy in case Jared Wilson doesn't start for you at center this season. But you do have Taylor Kyles saying, seems like Jared Wilson is gaining ground in the left guard competition. Strange was the top left guard early, but Wilson looked like the guy during team drills. Keon Wallace also continues to factor in heavily. I wonder if there's a world, okay, and I'm predicting this now. I wonder if there's a world in which Strange and Keon Wallace battle for left guard and Jared Wilson becomes your starting center. That would not surprise me. But looks like we got Cole Strange in here today for at least one of the players that's going to be in there for the press conferences. He says Cole Strange credits being in the building consistently as the likely reason he was named as an offseason award winner. That is something that I did want to talk about. What? Oh, shoot. Hold up. Hold up, y'all. Someone's trying to log into my account. Pause, y'all. Pause. Someone's logging into my account. Damn. I hate when people try to log into my account and I gotta come up with a new password. I got no ideas anymore. What do y'all be doing for your passwords? Let me know in the comment section below. I mean, like, don't tell me your password, but like, how do you guys come up with good ideas? All right. Well, that was scary. Who the hell from Brazil is trying to log into my account, huh? Something you guys want to tell me? Which one of you are in Brazil right now, huh? Thought that Colby was on the little old stream and y'all could just hack into my account, huh? Hey, look, fess up. Fess up, guys. Fess up. I won't get mad. I won't get mad. Which one of you is in Brazil right now? Let me know. Let me know. Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like real time. Like me trying to open up my damn phone, and it's like, yeah, someone's in Brazil trying to hack your Instagram right now. What the hell you mean? Damn. Sorry, Colby. Sorry, that was my bad, Colby. Colby's looking pissed, man. I was concerned, man. I was concerned because I feel like I gotta change all my passwords now, right? Like some dude in Brazil is trying to get into my account. Like what the heck? Are my other accounts okay? I hope they're okay. Yeah, dude. It says right here, a device is requesting access to log in from a what the hell, Liana, is that? What's a Lumium Luium X500? What kind of phone is that? Like, but why me? But why me? Guys, look at my, you know what? I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna dox myself. I'm gonna dox my main Instagram account. I want you guys to look at this real quick, okay? Damn, this has nothing to do with football, but that's not the point. That's not the point. All right. I want you guys to look at my Instagram because why would anyone why would anyone want my Instagram? Look at this. You guys let me know. Am I missing something here real quick? You guys let me know. This is happening in real time. Okay. Like, do they look at it and they're like, oh, this guy's got 6,000 followers. All right. Well, we're going to turn it into a Bitcoin profile. Like, dude, there's so many accounts out there that got way more followers than I do. Trust me. It might say 6,000 followers, but I'm not getting that many likes on my photos. I call it a successful day if I'm getting 100. So let me tell you, if you're trying to hack my account, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're barking up the wrong tree. I swear, every time I post, I lose a follower. But look, they're like, there's nothing special. There ain't nothing special, bro. Like, I understand, like, if someone's like, I'm gonna hack Patriots Global. I mean, please don't. It's like my life's work, but why my main Instagram? That makes, like, no sense. That's just sad. Don't worry, guys. As Instagram was on it. Shout out to Instagram, man. Because I went to log in and they were like, yo, some dude in Brazil is trying to get on your information. Someone across the damn pond, man. Someone across the damn pond. It's always that damn pond, isn't it? But we did change it. And I changed it with a password I've never used before. So you know what's going to happen? Is next time I'm going to have to log into my Instagram, I'm not going to remember the password because I've never used it before. That's always what happens. Every time. Ah, shoot, you're right. I should probably change my other passwords too, right? Like, what's this dude trying to get into? You trying to hack my Snapchat too? It's just a lot of cute selfies. That's all. That's all. Save it in my notes. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Like, it's such an obvious thing. Like, dude, just write it in your notes. That's why every time I have to like log into Hulu or Netflix, I'm like, damn it, what's the password? I'm trying every password I know instead of just writing them down. Probably a Bills fan. I don't know. I agree with this. I think it's probably a Jets fan. I feel like Bills fan, for the most part, Patriots fans and Bill fans were pretty cool, but I think when it comes to Jets fans, they would hack me all day, every day. All right, let's see if we got any more updates. Let's hope I don't lose any accounts. All right, Craig Woodson, Patriots rookie 4th-round pick, says playing in Cal's diverse defensive system has helped as he adjusts to the Patriots scheme. Well, he is going to be asked to do a lot of different things by Mike Vrabel, but I feel like Craig Woodson is another guy that's been pretty quiet all of a sudden. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, when you're a safety, if you're quiet, it's not necessarily bad as long as you're shutting guys down. But Craig Woodson was always around the ball, making plays, interceptions in spring practices, and then so far haven't really heard much from him. Haven't really heard much from him through 6 days of training camp. He's obviously going to make the roster, but I was just hoping to hear more about him. Commanders or Pats on August 8th, man. Give me the Pats, baby. Give me the damn Pats. That's going to be a fun game, though, man. A good coaching staff with good players there. It's going to be a fun game. Probably a Chiefs fan did the hacking, dude. Probably. Man was like, give me those 6 rings. Damn it. We're the best franchise now, bitch. Sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Overall, it sounds like the highlights here from Drake Maye today were a back shoulder to Kyle Williams. It was dropped by Kyle Williams. Fade to Kyle Williams, dropped in the bucket for a touchdown. A well-placed, tightly covered Pop Douglas, front corner of the end zone, and a fastball to Kayshon Boutte for a back end of the end zone touchdown. I wanted to see, this is what I was doing before. My life almost flashed before my eyes. But when Cole Strange was referencing how he became an offseason winner, which is another reason that I think Cole Strange will probably make this roster unless the team gets good trade value. But every year, actually, I think they've only done this the last couple of years, but I could be wrong. But the team releases offseason winners, which the offseason is still going on. So I don't know why 5 days into camp this was released. But okay. But Mike Vrabel released his top 2025 offseason awards for the Patriots. This is something that they did last year under Gerard Mayo, but they had 13 players under Gerard Mayo last year, only 4 players with Mike Vrabel this year, which I like. 13 players is far too much. It's not giving players an incentive enough to want to ball out during the offseason process. I think 4 is a perfect amount. And Mike Vrabel's 4 offseason winners, according to Mike Reese: left guard Cole Strange, defensive tackle and offseason free agent addition Kyrie's Tonga, outside linebacker Truman Jones, and wide receiver Pop Douglas. So some guys on this list that I'm kind of surprised about, and definitely guys on this list that I did not see coming. I think Cole Strange certainly does deserve it. Pop Douglas certainly deserves it. I didn't see Kyrie's Tonga coming. Now, Kyrie's Tonga has rolled with the first team defense at times. I'm not saying Tonga's looked bad, just didn't expect him to be the guy on the D-line that got the nod. Biggest one, though, outside linebacker Truman Jones. We've heard a lot about linebackers here this offseason, but Truman Jones hasn't been a guy we've heard too much, but it sounds like he's catching the eye of Mike Vrabel. Maybe another guy to watch to potentially make the 53. See if we got any more updates. So we got Alex Austin. Alex Austin saying that he's grown mentally as a player, noting how the game has slowed down in his third season. A lot of times when the game starts to slow down mentally for players, it allows them to start acting instinctively. And I think we've seen those instincts from Alex Austin in the past. It's just more so been, can he string together games? Can he string together the consistency? Nah, it's Lowski hacking you, dude. Probably. Lowski gives me vibes like he would, like he'd be in Brazil. Hacking me is crazy, though. What the heck? I'm gonna have to do like all my security checkups. Shout out Instagram, man. Shout out Instagram. Oh, shoot, there really is security checkup. What do you mean create a stronger password? Man, I just changed it. That's crazy. Okay, email is still good. Oh, shoot. It didn't ask me for authentication, like the two-step authentication. I mean, it's on, so that's good. You can use a VPN, which is most likely if they're hacking. I've heard a lot about VPNs. I feel like I got to do more research, but aren't VPNs like hella expensive? Glenn's in the chat. We got a Dolphins fan in the chat. Everybody be nice. Unless you're the one that hacked me, Glenn. Glenn, if you're the one trying to hack me, I swear. I swear, Glenn. But nah, Glenn's my guy. Glenn says, when are you going to training camp? Glenn, I will be there. I will be in Boston on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll be there. So Tuesday will be a regular camp for the Patriots, and then Wednesday's joint practice with the Commanders. So the Commanders are coming to town because that's the first preseason game for the Patriots that they play next week. So I'll be there to see the Commanders and 2 days of camp for the Pats. But let's see if there's any more updates before we log off. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Hey, guys, make sure you do your boy a favor, man. Hit that like button. Only 41 likes right now. But yeah, we got 100 people watching on YouTube alone. And if you're watching on Twitter, make sure to hit that follow button on Twitter. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that retweet button. And also, if you're watching on Twitter, make sure you come over. You hit that link in my Twitter bio to YouTube. Come on over to YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because then you'll get notified every single time I post a short, a video, I go live. If you're watching on Twitter, you only get notified when I also go live on Twitter. So you're missing out on a lot of content. Okay. Timestamps. Let's see who the top fan is of the day. So one really cool thing one really, really cool thing that you can do now is you can look at, and I think you guys can see this too, but you guys can see who the top fans are, for every single live stream. So shout out to the top 3 people, the top 3 fans so far of today's live stream. The Cape 88 is the #1 fan. He has 900 XP. It's actually really cool. Like the more you donate, the more you like the video, the more you comment in the comment section, the more you interact with the video, the more XP YouTube gives you, and you can climb the ranks to become like the #1 fan of the live stream. It's a really cool thing that they just added. But we got the Cape 88 with 900 XP. He's in first place. We got Felipe in second place with 325 XP. We got Trey in third place with 250 XP. We got Phil in fourth place with 125. We got, let me make sure I got this right. We got, am I saying this right? Massis in fifth place with 125 XP. And we got Old Man Mob at 6 with 125 XP also. So shout out to everyone in the chat, man. Should we put a poll up in the chat? Let's put up a poll. PG, use a password manager. One password to rule them all. I gotta look into that, dude. What? For a guy who does like social media and live streaming for a living, you know, I don't know too much about that stuff. I gotta figure it out. One password to rule them all, though, sounds nice. How many games? We're going to send out a poll for you guys. If I can learn to spell. Damn. That's win in 2025. Over. All right, I'm sending out a poll for you guys because I want to know. We just sent it out. How many games will the Pats win in 2025? All right. Do you guys think that they're going to win over 8 games? Or are they going to win 8 games or below? Let me know what you guys think. I think we should do more polls more often. We're gonna use a lot of polls this upcoming season for the live watch parties. Promise you that. Stream queue. All right, let's see what the poll's at. So far, we have 22 votes. So make sure if you're watching on Twitter, you come over to YouTube because I don't think you guys can participate in the polls if you're watching on Twitter. But how many games will the Pats win in 2025? Over 8.5 or under 8.5? 75% of you say over 8.5. 25% says under 8.5. Only 24 votes right now, guys. We got 100 of you watching live on YouTube right now. Colby, we're going 17-0, dude. Mike Vrabel's here, right? We got Will Campbell, damn it. We got Drake May, damn it. You're right, we're going 17-0. You're right. Edward thinks we're going 6 to 7. You know what, Edward? I think that's actually pretty optimistic of you. I think that's pretty optimistic of you, Edward. 7 to 8, I'm realistic. Hey, as long as it's not another 4-win season, man. Progress. That is damn progress. Let's make sure there's still no updates. Make sure I'm not missing out on anything. Looks like Taylor Kyles hasn't reported anything else. It's 11 minutes. So he's probably done for the day. All right. Can you give me like 5? Alrighty. We can check to make sure Mark Daniels didn't do. What time is it? Man, those people are here early. So Mark Daniels just saying that Kayshon Boutte had another solid day. He caught a touchdown from Drake Maye to end practice. Kayshon Boutte has been rolling with the first team offense also. I will say that. So look, anything can happen, and it's going to be tough for them to have a lot of these players make the final roster. Like, there's going to be fan favorites that don't make it. There's always guys that get traded last minute that nobody expects during 53-man roster cutdown. So look, you always listen when Adam Schefter says something, but during the pre-draft process, Adam Schefter did say that Kayshon Boutte was a guy to watch as a potential trade. So maybe there's a world in which we get shocked and Kayshon Boutte gets traded for some good value. He looks good in training camp, rolls with the first team offense, looks good in the preseason, and then they trade him. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel pretty confident that Kayshon Boutte is going to be here. But again, we've seen crazier things. This is a new system that has no ties back to Kayshon Boutte, so they have no reason to stick around with him if they don't feel like he fits the system, or if they can flip Kayshon Boutte for like a 4th-round pick. If they're able to do that, I think they would. But I do think that Kayshon Boutte does make this roster. I mean, he's been one of the top guys here with the offense, one of the top guys with Drake Maye. This has really been the best offseason we've seen from Kayshon Boutte, period, under the Patriots. Like, ever since last year, the second half of training camp, where he just locked in and he started to mature, that's when he started to become a better player. And if he can hold himself accountable even more than he did during the 2024 season, and he can be a little bit more mature, a little bit more professional, I think he can be a more consistent player. And I think Kayshon Boutte can be one of the best 3 receivers on this roster. Mark Daniels also saying that Jared Wilson had a really, really strong day in one-on-ones. We've been hearing that a lot. 2 days of pads here, whether Jared Wilson's been at left guard or center, he has been really, really dominant, both in the running game and in pass protection. Wouldn't be surprised to see him starting sooner rather than later at left guard or center. I've been saying this for a while. I don't think that the competition is Jared Wilson against Garrett Bradbury or Jared Wilson against Cole Strange. I think it's Garrett Wilson and Garrett Bradbury and Cole Strange. Whichever guy loses that battle, you're getting replaced by Jared Wilson. I think Jared Wilson starts in some capacity this season. But guys, that is going to end it off for today's video. Oh, real quick. We got a couple of super chats to get into, and then we're going to log off for the day. We got my boy, The Cape, coming in here with a $5 donation, man. The Cape was the #1 supporter of the channel today. This video was sponsored by The Cape 88, so make sure you guys go ahead, check out The Cape 88, give him some love in the chat. Make sure you guys heart the donations here by The Cape 88, show him some love. But The Cape 88, you were, according to YouTube, the #1 person in the chat today with the most XP. You were the person. You were the winner of today's live stream. So shout out to my boy, The Cape 88. You deserve all the love and positivity coming your way. But you said, does the cap roll over next year? And if so, who do you think will be their top priority? Plus, what will their cap top off at? So some of the cap would roll over. It's a little confusing. It's not a situation where you have $60 million. If you have $100 million next year, now you have $160 million. It's not how it works. But they do have about $60 million right now. I could see them making a last-minute move but they also need some of that money during the regular season to give out the signing bonuses, right? So like if a player has certain benchmarks, or if you play this amount of games, you get this amount of money, they need to make sure they have enough cap space to be able to give that amount of money throughout the season. Obviously, they don't need $60 million. So I expect some of that to roll into next year. Next year, they are supposed to have a good amount of cap space too. In fact, it's really hard to project these things early on because there's a lot of numbers that have to be crunched. 2026 projected cap space. So it is projected. Okay, well, that can't be right. That can't be right. Is this for real? Oh, shoot. Maybe we don't have as much cap space next year as I thought. Like I said, it's really hard to calculate this, but you have over the cap saying that the Patriots are expected to be $15.3 million over the cap. But then you have Sports Track saying that the Patriots are supposed to have $7.9 million in cap space. So like I said, it's a little bit too early, but some of that money will roll over into next year. So that is a benefit. The other thing to remember, too, is that the cap space over the last 2-3 years has gone up every single year because of the deals that the league is getting. So a lot of teams will have like negative cap space, but the cap space goes up. So then a lot of teams over the last 2 years go from having negative projected cap to actually having cap space to spend. So I would expect the same thing to happen this year for the cap space to go up for another consecutive year. So we don't know exactly what they'll have next year, but some of that money will roll in. The Cape says, dang, leaving me hanging. Cape, I would never leave you hanging. I would never leave you hanging. You never got to worry about that. But hey, man, shout out to my boy, The Cape, coming in and donating today. Really appreciate all you for donating. The Cape, Felipe, Trey, MJ Boozy, all you for supporting the channel. You guys know one of the best ways to support the channel is just by watching, sharing, subscribing, liking the video, all that good stuff. It's completely free. But if you want to go that extra mile to donate, support the channel, donations always get priority. Consider becoming a member of the channel by hitting that plus bar or hit that plus button next to the subscribe. You get some exclusive benefits such as Patriots Global exclusive emojis, priority reply to comments in videos, live streams, shorts, community posts, all that good stuff. Also goes a long way in supporting the channel. Could not be here without you guys' support, without your guys' donations also. Means the absolute world to me. For you guys kicking it with me to talk about some New England Patriots news. Before we log off, we're just going to end that poll real quick. And how many games will the Patriots win in 2025? Over 8.5 or under 8.5? 81% of you said over 8.5. 54 total votes. 18% of you said under 8.5. Like I said, we'll be doing a lot more polls in the future. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's live stream. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for kicking it with me. We will be live here again tomorrow talking everything that happens for the New England Patriots in day 7 of training camp. Yesterday was the first time we ever did this. You guys loved it. You guys showed out yet again today. So if you guys want to see more live training camp updates, just like we did today and yesterday, make sure to leave a big like on the video on your way out. Show some love. And without further ado, we will see you guys tomorrow. Go Pats.